Good morning, everyone. Phil here, and welcome to the show. It's the Level 1 Podcast, broadcasting live from beautiful Washington State. Today is Tuesday, the 27th of February, 2024. I'm DSP, of course. I welcome you all to the show. We've got an interesting one today. I've got various different topics and things to discuss, updates to give, some news stories to cover. So a good variety show today. And it covers just a lot of different things. So, shall we? I hope you're doing well. By the way, this is my final consecutive streaming day of the week, which is very odd, because usually I'd be here 6+ days, and this week I'm only here for 5. And you might be wondering, well, what's up with that? Why is Phil only here 5 days? Well, of course, it is because of the big premiere and release of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, which comes out on Thursday. Weird, right? Used to be when I started on YouTube, every game came out on a Tuesday. Literally every single game always came out on a Tuesday. And everyone always wondered why that was. And I agree. Like, I tend to wonder, why was every game coming out on a Tuesday? Then some games would come out on Tuesdays and then Fridays. And that was also confusing. Why some on a Tuesday, why some on a Friday? Well, after some research, I actually found out games were only coming out on Tuesdays in the United States, and worldwide, then that same game would release on a Friday. So there would be this odd 3-day delay where, like, Europe and the rest of the world who were watching my videos, you know, I have a worldwide audience, would have to wait to play the games themselves. So in a lot of ways, my videos would give people a preview of a game that they couldn't buy yet, and they could determine via my videos if this was a game they were interested in and would buy and play. Then over the years, all of a sudden, it was agreed upon, we're not going to be doing any more of these worldwide different release dates. Everyone's going to get games on the same day, and that day is going to be Friday. To which it makes sense. Like, okay, that sounds good. Let's all just have a worldwide release of every game on a Friday. Works for me. And now, it seems like they just release games whenever they want. There's been games on Fridays, games on Thursdays, games on Tuesdays. There was a game on a Wednesday recently. And it just makes me, like, confused. I think the reason they're releasing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on Thursday is because it's leap year. So this is a rare year when there is a 29th of a month. So maybe they just want to be something special. We released a game on leap year day. That's something special, momentous to remember, right? Or maybe by releasing it still in February rather than, say, March 1st, it keeps it into a different fiscal calculation for their bookkeeping. You know, it's in one quarter or month rather than another. I don't know. It doesn't really make much sense. But as I've told you guys many times, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth is one of my most hyped and exciting games of the year. I've been waiting for this game for quite some time, ever since essentially I finished Final Fantasy VII Remake. And at the very end of the day, you realize, whoa, that really wasn't much of a remake. They're redoing the entire series from scratch with this whole multiverse plotline, where anything goes. And that means characters that previously had passed away in Final Fantasy VII can survive. In fact, that was one of the big, shocking twists of Final Fantasy VII Remake's ending, is that Zack Fair, the character who Cloud thought he actually was and was basing his whole persona off of, doesn't die anymore and is still alive, right? That was like one of the big giant twists. And now the question is, how is that going to affect Final Fantasy VII Rebirth with that character still alive? What new plots will happen? What new scenes? What new fortunes will unfold? Just so you know, I should bring this up. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, as of right now is downloadable on PS5. You can preload it if you pre-ordered it. And it says right here on the dashboard, the picture that you can see. Should I show it to you? Would you like to see it? Watch this. This is pretty interesting. And my camera's going to look all weird, so just ignore the camera. So here is the dashboard, all right? And here's what it says. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the unknown journey continues. With Zack Fair standing right there on the right-hand side of the screen. So if anything, I mean, is that not foreboding that this game's going to be very different from how Final Fantasy VII originally unfolded? It's now being called an unknown journey. Right? With Zack Fair prominently displayed in the art. It's pretty cool. Like, that actually gets me pretty pumped to see what's going to happen here in the real game. And obviously, we're all going to be doing our best to stay away from spoilers and the like, but you know what's going to happen. Probably tomorrow, the entire game will be on the internet, and there's nothing you can do about it. You can try as best you can, but unless you live in, like, a cave with no internet, and the only way that you have a connection with the outside world is like a Dixie cup with this piece of string that goes out your door, and you talk to people by twanging. Maybe that's the only way you could stop it. You know, sadly, this is what happens with games these days. There's no way to avoid major spoilers anymore. There just isn't. Like, people are out to spoil everywhere. It'll be on social media. It'll be on every forum post. It'll be in stream chats. It'll be everywhere. And there's nothing you can really do about it. I'll do my best when, those things arise to try to get rid of it, but, what can you do? Just to forewarn everyone, if you're going to be around for this game, I'm going to be loving it and playing the crap out of it, I'm sure, but expect spoilers. There's not much that can really be done. There's no foolproof way around it, right? Anyway, so the excitement begins, right? Final Fantasy VII, I'm excited for that. Now, I have something very important to talk about. My schedule, all right? My schedule is going to be a little different come this Thursday. And I need to explain this to you so everyone will know up front, okay? On Thursday, it's the premiere of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. I'm playing the game all day long on both of my major streams. But my first major stream will be earlier and end a little earlier, okay? So this Thursday, normally my stream turns on roughly around 10:45 a.m. Pre-stream music plays, and then the podcast starts around 11:15 a.m., right? Well, this coming Thursday, my stream will start an hour early. It's going to start around 9:45 a.m. The actual podcast will start around 10:15 a.m. And the gameplay will start a little earlier than that, okay? However, the stream has to end a little early, too. Typically, I stream till around 4 p.m.-ish Pacific time. I have to end my stream around 3 p.m.-ish, okay? So, FYI, starts an hour early, ends about an hour early. My late-night stream on Thursday will remain the same. Starts around 6:45 p.m. Pacific time. We usually start by like 7:15 p.m. and it'll be around 2 to 2.5 hours of gameplay. So there you go. That's happening Thursday. I hope you'll come by Thursday and join me all day long. But the schedule's different. I'm gonna have to like talk about this all day because I don't want people to show up like late and miss out on the first hour of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth because I have to adjust my stream for that day. Okay, so that's a heads up. Now, what we should do is quickly recap what I did yesterday and talk about the schedule for the rest of the week as well. And then we have some game news today. A couple game news stories I'd like to cover for all of you. And then we'll see where we are in time-wise. If we have shout-outs to do, if we want to maybe do some suggestion box, we can go there. It's up to you guys. So let's do it. All right, yesterday was a full day of gameplay streaming. And FYI, it was the continuation of Tekken 8 I'm now in the red ranked matches, which means I'm no longer in the scrub level. All right, like people who are in red generally know what they're doing, except that you've reached the level now. I would compare this to like low to mid-level diamond in Street Fighter 6. Definitely not mid to high level or master, but basically at your level where people kind of know the strategies, that they know what they're doing, and some people are much better than others. But there are some people who still are kind of scrubby, abusing of spam, and you could tell that they don't really understand mechanics. Like, they can't block low, and they can't break throws, or even do anything complex. But, man, they will spam that same very fast, high-priority move over and over to try to hit you with it, and then get a giant combo, and then they basically win the round. So, yeah, basically it's tougher now, all right? And I had a good time yesterday with Yoshimitsu. I'm actually getting much better. Just so you guys know, I'm implementing so many new moves. I'm now implementing the unblockables into my gameplay. I have 2 different unblockables that are very good. One leads to a big combo. The other one is a good trick in the corner where they can't really get out, and they have to take the hit. My execution's getting much better. My timing's getting better. My mix-ups. I still think the one thing I'm lacking in is stance changing. I'm really not stance changing as much as I would like in the game. But outside of that, I'm doing good. I'm getting better at the game. I definitely am. And I'm happy for that. And I'm looking forward to more as I continue to play the game and I get better with Yoshimitsu. We climbed 2 ranks yesterday in one session. 2 red ranks, which is great for tough matches. But then at the last minute, like the last 20 minutes of the stream, I ran into a streak of players who either completely just destroyed me, mind-addled me. Because I fought a Victor, and he was a purple ranked Victor. That's the next rank up. He was doing things I never saw before. He's doing moves I didn't even know he had, and he's doing things over and over that just seem insanely safe. Like, there's no way for me to punish them or do anything about them. And I'm like, so if he can continuously just keep attacking, and I can't ever stop those attacks, I have to block everything. And then every once in a while, he has this attack that's so fast, I can't react to it, and it hits me for, like, giant counter hit damage. What do I do? Answer, I don't know. I literally don't know. Like, that was, I feel like, the first Victor I ever fought in the game that knew really what he was doing and just used it to trick the hell out of me. And I was like, wow, mind-addled would be the best way to describe it after you lose to someone like that, right? Then the next person I fight is a Lee, and all this Lee does the entire round is crouch and then do 2 or 3 different kick moves over and over. And the problem is, not having fought many Lees at all, I don't know what those kick moves are. I don't know if they hit high-low. So he's just doing 2, 3 moves, just randomly selecting them, not timing them or anything, just doing it. And he killed me because I didn't know what to do. I'm like, oh my god, that sucks. So now, the first guy I lost to, because he was really good, and he knew all this stuff with Victor I'd never seen. The second guy I lost to was not good. He just literally alternated the same 3 things over and over, and I didn't know how to counter them because I don't know the character well. Then I fought Paul. And this Paul Phoenix, again, really good Paul Phoenix, I would say. He's alternating between various different moves that I don't know what they are. They're like while standing combos that are like high-low mix-ups. Then he gets me to the wall, and he hits me so many times, he guard crushes me. And I said, he guard crushed me? There's a guard crush in Tekken 8? I didn't even know. I still don't know. There's guard crushing in Tekken 8? I've watched a ton of top-level gameplay. All right? I've watched tutorial videos. No one brings this up. I never seen it in a match, but it happened to me. And I'm like, how does their guard crush? I don't even understand it. I guess if you block so many high-impact moves in the corner, you lose your guard. And then they could just get a free combo on you. I don't know, but that's what happened. And I was like, wow. Again, so 3 matches in a row. Basically, I'm beaten by a big lack of game knowledge, right? And then I went from the ranks, I had gained 2 ranks, and then I lost the rank. And I was like, oh, after all that hard work yesterday, 3 hours, to lose the rank that I had earned really was disappointing, all right? But I'm not going to let it, set me back. I'm going to reevaluate. I'm going to reestablish, get back in line there, and get back, they say get back on the horse. Back in the day, this would have been get back in line at the arcade, right? You lost, get back in line at the arcade, put your quarter up, get back up there and start playing and get better, right? So, that's what I'm going to do. I'm not going to be discouraged. So, good stream yesterday of Tekken 8. Definitely rage-inducing at the end, like tons of rage and swearing, just like I was doing in Street Fighter 6. But at the same time, it was really good gameplay, like the best gameplay I've done in Tekken 8 so far. So I hope you'll check it out if you haven't yet, okay? Late night stream last night was Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And basically I did for the first hour a ton of side questing. After that, I said, enough is enough. Let's do main story. And we played main story for about 90 minutes. The game is great. I actually switched up some jobs, so we have some new jobs in the mix that are cool. I'm having a good time with it. Tonight, we're focusing more on story, too. So, good stuff. Okay, so that was yesterday. Today, this is it, guys. This is the final major stream of Baldur's Gate 3, because now it's going to take a backseat to Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Essentially, Baldur's Gate 3 will get played like once a week as a major stream. Final Fantasy VII will be the major focus for the next several weeks. I just want everyone to be clear on this. I need to get as far in Final Fantasy VII as I can, because we're the third week of March. There's new games coming out, and I want to be very far in Final Fantasy VII until we basically, give the reins over to those games. So I need to get as far as I possibly can, all right? No exaggeration. I'm going to be playing Final Fantasy VII Rebirth 17 hours next week. 5 hours on Thursday, 3 hours on Friday, 3 hours on Saturday, 3 hours on Monday, 3 hours on Tuesday. That's 17 hours if you add it up. That's a lot of gameplay for the launch week of a game to be almost 20 hours into it. For me, that's very rare that I would be doing that. Okay? But man, I'm going to get really far into the game. Essentially, that's a third in. Like in 1 week, I'm one big third chunk into the game. I wonder how far that'll be, because if you remember the plot of Final Fantasy VII, once they leave Midgard, they first start exploring the outskirts. You got to get past that serpent, the Nidhogg, in the lake. I'm sure that's going to be a thing. You just got to sneak by it. You can't fight it at this point. It's overpowered. They end up in a couple like small towns and villages. Eventually, a lot of plot happens. Then they end up at Cosmo Canyon. Remember that? And you get like Red 13's backstory. Eventually, they end up at the Golden Saucer theme park. You got the whole plot line there. They eventually, I'm trying to remember, because this is supposed to be, I'm trying to remember how they said that the games are going to be split up almost like the discs of Final Fantasy VII, correct? So by the end of disc 2 of Final Fantasy VII, you've almost seen everything. Disc 3 is endgame content, but there's a lot that opens, right? So another thing you got to understand, this is the retelling of the story, right? So it may be different. They may section it off differently, and it may only reach, like, for example, if they extrapolate upon the plot as much as they did with Remake, Midgard used to be, 10, 15 hours, and it becomes a giant 60-hour game. They very well could have it that this game maybe ends at the Golden Saucer, but maybe they add so much content in during that time frame that it ends up being a 60-hour game. You know what I'm saying? So I don't know. I guess we'll see. But anyway, yeah, I'm going to be playing a ton of Final Fantasy VII Rebirth in the next week, okay? So because of that, Baldur's Gate 3 will be played once a week moving forward. And I know a lot of people are going to be disappointed at that. Then again, if you actually look at people who are showing up to the Baldur's Gate 3 streams and watching the videos, it's not a lot, okay? I don't even get 300 views on the Baldur's Gate 3 videos anymore. It takes like tons of time. For example, what was the last time I played Baldur's Gate 3? Monday, correct? No. Saturday. Let's take a look at Saturday's videos, right? Just for the sake of argument here. 437 views, 309 views, 264 views. That's the views I'm getting on Baldur's Gate. I'm getting more views on Tekken. I'm getting more views on Like a Dragon. Yes, I'm actually getting significantly more views on Like a Dragon, right, than I am on Baldur's Gate. This is just a symptom of a game being so long that interest wanes, Like, for example, when Baldur's Gate 3, when I started playing it back in December, people were all over it. It was my most viewed playthrough. People were so excited. Once you get to hour 20, 30, no one cares anymore. Once you get to hour 60, you got a hardcore group. Once you get to hour 100, people go to sleep. That's just how it is. That's just how it's always been. The longer the game, the incredible amount of, engagement falls off. And even people who are huge fans of Baldur's Gate 3 stopped watching the playthrough. It's too long. And there's nothing you can do about that. The game's too long, right? Like, I can't make the game shorter. And even if I had played it at release, it still would have had that happen. that happens with every long game ever, okay? So, the difference there is that those who are engaged in Baldur's Gate 3 actually are very supportive. We have not had a single Baldur's Gate 3 stream where we have not hit the tier 2 tip skull. I'm serious. We have not had a single Baldur's Gate 3 stream. Oh, I take that back. I think we had a night stream once, and that one didn't get it. But every time that I played Baldur's Gate 3 as a day stream, we actually hit the tip skull, which is crazy to think. Not the full tip skull, like the tier 2 tip skull, put it on a hat. That's why you almost always see me with like a Viking hat on or whatever playing the game, right? So that's pretty crazy. But yeah, like the interest of the game has waned massively. And I've used it as the mainstream for like 2 months. And that's why, honestly, viewership on this channel is way down. Because the games I'm playing, 2 of them are giant lengthy RPGs. One of them is a fighting game that sadly this audience hasn't really liked as much. I like Tekken 8, but apparently the audience doesn't. And then every once in a while I'm doing something randomly different. But that's what I mean. That's all I'm doing on the channel. It's definitely time to have a new refreshing month, and March is going to be that. Between Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, the Battlefront collection for multiplayer, Dragon's Dogma 2, Rise of the Ronin, just those games alone are nice and refreshing, right? So, I will continue to play Baldur's Gate 3, but it'll only be once a week. So it might take me 3 more months to beat it, and that's okay. Like, literally, that's okay. If it takes me that long, alright? So, today is the final day where it really is the featured stream. Starting Thursday, that becomes Final Fantasy VII, okay? So, let's enjoy. We're in Baldur's Gate. We're going to be walking around, finding characters, you know, engaging, unlocking quests, I'm sure, because, of course, just like every other part of the game, there's 5,000 quests probably in Baldur's Gate to find. And we'll get as far as we can today by the end of the stream, okay? Tonight on the late stream, it's more like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. And we are going to continue on with the plot. We're actually in the midst of a major plot development. It very well could be that we finish Chapter 6 tonight and finally head into Chapter 7 of the game, which would be great. We've been in Chapter 6, no exaggeration, for like 3 weeks. So it would be great to finally make progress. So there we go. All right, that's today. I'm not here tomorrow. All right, my day off tomorrow. It's going to be a more relaxing day. At the same time, I have errands to run, and there's quite a few that I have to do. So once I get the errands out of the way, my wife and I will probably have a nice, relaxing day, but you have to get to that point, right? Anyway, then Thursday, as I've already mentioned, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth all day long, but my first stream on Thursday will start an hour earlier than usual, so you have to be here around 10:15 a.m. Pacific time for the podcast. You have to be here around noon Pacific time if you want to see the gameplay and not miss the start of the playthrough. Okay, so spread the word. I'll be updating all my schedules and everything tonight. I'll be posting up abundantly on my X account, here on the channel page. Be here an hour earlier. Don't miss the premiere of Final Fantasy VII, okay? And then that day, the late stream, 6:45 p.m. Pacific time, will also be Final Fantasy VII, so it's a full day, 5+ hours of gameplay. Friday, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the first stream. Friday Night Fights, Tekken 8, Yoshimitsu trying to climb out of the red ranks on the late stream. Saturday, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth on the main stream, Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth on the late stream. Sunday, all day long reacting. DSP versus the Internet on DSP Reacts, Retro React on DSP Throwback. Right now people are voting. No surprise, there really hasn't been any kind of a flip in the polls, but to give you guys an update, the poll for what we're going to do on Retro React on Sunday is currently as follows. Continue Dark Souls 1, 16%. Play Bully from 2013, 12%. Play Bioshock from 2009, 16%. Continue with Heavy Rain, 57%. Currently, we have 335 votes. We still have all week for you guys to vote because Sunday is the day. But unless we get literally 100 to 200 people rallying for another thing, it looks like we're continuing with Heavy Rain again, which, again, I'm okay with. The Heavy Rain playthrough has been absolutely outstanding to react to. So, that'll be Sunday night. Monday, the day stream will be Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. No late stream on Monday night because on Monday night, which would be what? That would be like March 4th. I have to do private stuff. Whether it's patron stuff, whether it's tax stuff, I'm not even sure yet. But I need to take a stream off that week to work on private stuff. So that's no streaming that Monday night. That Tuesday, Final Fantasy VII Rebirth and Tekken 8. And then that Wednesday, Baldur's Gate 3 and Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. So basically, after today, the next time you'll see Baldur's Gate 3 is not tomorrow, but a week from tomorrow. And that's kind of how I'm trying to do my schedule for the next few weeks, where it'll be Final Fantasy VII day streams all week, and then the last day of the week, Baldur's Gate to end the week. Okay? So if you like Baldur's Gate, you want it to continue, you've been supportive the whole way, please come by every Wednesday moving forward for Baldur's Gate 3. Okay? Cool. Outside of that, I've already mentioned the other games I'm excited for this month. We'll talk more about them as we get closer to them in March. The next big event is my birthday event, which will take place that first week of April. And in fact, my birthday is technically April 6th. I looked it up. It's a Saturday this year. So I might just do it on my birthday. I might just actually do the event right on my birthday. What will we do? Number one, I will do a gaming schedule update. We will go live through the calendar. We will now take all the new release dates for all the games that'll be coming out for the rest of the year, and we will populate the calendar again so we know what's coming up. I haven't done this since Christmas, so it's going to be a good time to do it, so that way we know exactly what's going on. So that's number one. Number two, there'll be food. Now, what kind of food? Well, I'm sure my wife's probably going to make some kind of a baked good or a cake for me to have for my birthday, but outside of that, I'm not sure if we're going to order food that day or if we'll, my wife will make something. We'll have to talk about it. I mean, it's over a month away. But outside of that, like, what else we do that day is really up to us. Like, I want it to be, again, more of a chill day, nothing too crazy. So maybe we do some multiplayer that day of various games. By then, Battlefront will be out, the Battlefront Collection. So that's an option. Tekken 8 would be an option, right? And I guess we could talk about other things as well. Okay, fair enough. So we'll try to figure this out, what exactly you guys want to see happen. And some people are like, well, will Kat join us? I don't know. That's really up to her. Since she's available to come in whenever she wants, sure, if she wanted to come by that day and spend some time with us during my birthday marathon, why not, right? I think that would be a nice thing for her to come in and just join us, but that would be up to her. I'll have to see if she's up to it and what we want to do. If we just want to hang out, maybe do some Q&A, or if we actually want to try to do some gameplay together, I don't know. We'll have to see. Anyway, so that's coming up, and we'll talk more about that as we get closer to it that first week of April. Okay? Cool. So that's really it. Like, that's really all I have to talk about in regards to schedule and games and everything coming up. I hope that sounds good. So the one thing I do want to mention, you may notice something. I didn't say anything about Street Fighter 6. Well, there's good reason for that. I'm not interested in Street Fighter 6 right now. I played Street Fighter 6 literally when it released in June of last year all the way through January of this year. It was just a little over a month ago that I put Street Fighter 6 on hiatus. Okay, I'm well aware that there's a DLC character for Street Fighter 6 releasing today. He's out. His name is Ed. He's from Street Fighter 5, but been redesigned for Street Fighter 6. I saw the trailer for Ed. I was like, Like, he looks like he's a combination of Dudley and some other mechanics with this, I guess, psycho power he's using to pull you towards him or whatever. I'm like, But you know what? I'm burnt out on Street Fighter 6. I really am. Like, I just have no real desire to play it right now. I've played Tekken 8 for a month. I've gotten to a point where I'm getting good and climbing the ranks now with Yoshimitsu. I want to keep doing that and focusing on that. If I go back to Street Fighter 6, I'm just diverting my efforts. And it's just going to make my progress in Tekken 8, take longer or just stifle. And I cannot play two competitive fighting games at once. It's just not going to work. So I'd like to stick with Tekken 8, even if it means that a lot of people aren't really following it. I'm enjoying the climb, and I'm enjoying getting better. If you want to watch Ed, there's 5 zillion other people who are going to cover Ed because they just cover fighting games. That's all they do. So check that out. And then when Akuma comes out later this year, I would be way more interested in trying Akuma. So maybe that's what I'll do is wait until Akuma releases, and that's when I formally go back to Street Fighter 6. Now, yesterday someone brought up a point, and they said, hey, when will you actually try out other fighting games? For example, you had talked about setting up Fightcade on your mini PC and having that set up to play classics. I would love to do that, but it has to be a time that makes sense. We really haven't had a time that made sense. We got that mini PC in the fall, and then all fall we had all the new releases. Things calmed down in December, but people still wanted a last hurrah for Street Fighter 6, so I kept playing it all through January. It didn't make sense to set it up in January when I knew at the end of January Tekken 8 was coming out, right? Now it makes no sense. I already have so many things going on. We don't have time for it anyway. So eventually we will. Later on this year, I will set up the mini PC to work with Fightcade so we can play classic fighters and, you know, have a good time, but we have to get to the point where that makes sense, and just right now it doesn't. You know, in the next few months, probably, you know, things will slow down a bit, and that would be when we will actually look into doing stuff like that. Okay? Cool. Thank you, DJ Sonic Swag, for the first contribution of the morning. Just so you know, I shout out contributions near the end of the show, and then I answer all the questions. Okay? Just so you know, I don't want you to feel like I'm ignoring you or anything like that. Okay. Folks, it is time for a little segment on the show. You may have heard of it. It's called DSP News, or DSPN for short. During the segment, I talk about news. Okay, so what's what we're going to do today? That's what we're going to do this morning. All right? First of all, a new Pokemon game has been announced. It is called Pokemon, the one that won't run like dog shit on the Switch. That's actually what they're calling it. It's revolutionary. Like, I never thought that Nintendo would, like, go there and go right in line with the thoughts of the gamers. But that's what they're calling it. I mean, of course, I'm being facetious here. That's not the case. But they might as well, because if this game also runs like dog shit, like Pokemon Scarlet and Violet did, I think people are going to start to be upset. Because we just had a little game called Pal World that essentially takes Pokemon, you know, gameplay elements and combines it with a survival aspect, and it runs pretty good on the Xbox and PC. People are not going to put up with a Pokemon game that runs horribly anymore, I don't think. I think people are going to demand more, all right? Anyway, the name of the game is actually Pokemon Legends Z-A. Do you really want to say that from now on? It's like, hey, what Pokemon game are you playing? Oh, I'm playing Pokemon Scarlet. Oh, I'm playing Pokemon Ruby. How about Pokemon, you know, Yellow? I'm playing Pokemon Legends Z-A. Just rolls off the tongue, doesn't it? What the fuck is that? Okay, they make a better name. Could be anything. Exactly. Jesse says, that's a worse title than 365/2 days. There you go. Called it Pokemon Za. Order some za, bruh. You can tell, again, I have to say that they literally do not get any feedback from gamers. They just do whatever they want. And they just think, hey, it's Pokemon. People will eat it up and buy it no matter what we do. There is not a single gamer on the planet who wants to call the next Pokemon game Pokemon Legends Z-A. That's the stupidest name I've ever heard in my fucking life, right? It sounds like you're fucking, it's a diagram to build something at IKEA. Diagram Z to A in that order to build this stand, this, you know, nightstand. What the fuck is that? Anyway, so Pokemon Legends Z-A is an ambitious new entry to the Pokemon video game series. It will launch on the Nintendo Switch in 2025. A new adventure awaits within Lumiose City, where an urban redevelopment plan is underway to shape the city into a place that belongs to both people and Pokemon. So basically, it's a combination. Like, it's not just humans anymore. Now humans are living in harmony with the Pokemon. And I guess there's things specifically for Pokemon. I don't really understand. They showed a few screenshots, but you know, when you're looking at that, I didn't see any video. I saw some of the screen stills. So if you guys saw a video of it, maybe you can judge better. But the screenshots looked very reminiscent of previous Pokemon games. Like, nothing doesn't look groundbreaking or anything like that. And the thing is, if this is Pokemon Legends, remember Pokemon Legends Arceus, where it was open world. You walked around in a you know, it was not like typical top-down Pokemon. It was a very different model, right? Now, it ran horribly, too. Like, Arceus and Scarlet Violet were very badly performing games. You gotta wonder if they fixed that and made it better. Also, Arceus was a game that at first was really good, and once you get to, like, the third map and you realize, wow, this is identical to this game. All you do is walk around in these open worlds, fighting and catching Pokemon, and you know, exploring a little bit with not really platforming, but climbing, like traversal, parkour stuff, like climbing a mountain, getting items, and you go in a dungeon, you fight more Pokemon. Like, basically, it was really good at first, and then when you get halfway through the game, you're like, wow, they ran out of ideas, and then it gets kind of boring by the end. So I'm curious, since this is the Legends franchise now, will it be more like Arceus, or are they going to take elements from Scarlet Violet and have those in it too? I don't know. But anyway, I'm assuming we're going to get way more information about this game as we get closer to 2025. It gives them over a year to work on it. Being that, I'll say this. I'm happy with that news, and here's why. I want them to take more time to develop Pokemon games. For a while there, they were pumping out 2 to 3 games a year, and that's really when the quality had a sharp decline. So I'm not sad that we have to wait over another year to get a Pokemon game. I would rather wait and get a better game than not. You see what I'm saying? I'd rather have them come out in mid-2025 and it's superb than it comes out this year and it's rushed and half-finished and runs like dick, right? So, hopefully it's good. Pokemon Legends, what is it called? Pokemon Legends Z-A. So embarrassing. I don't want to say it. I really don't even want to say it. Anso Kamaru says the worst game title of all time is Under Night In Birth EXE Late CLR. It's a fighting game in real. Pokemon Legends ZA. Order some ZA, bro. Anyway. Alright, so that was the first story. That was a little more lighthearted. The next story, sadly, is not lighthearted whatsoever. This is absolutely terrible, awful, bad news. And I hate reporting news like this, but I have to report news because that's why I have a segment called News. Sony Interactive Entertainment is laying off around 900 employees. The London studio is closing entirely. Insomniac Games, Naughty Dog, Guerrilla Games, and Fire Sprite Studios are all largely affected. As part of the mass layoffs, Sony has completely canceled an unannounced Twisted Metal live service game that was in development at the UK-based studio Fire Sprite. Fire Sprite is going to lay off so many people, they just can't make the game anymore. Okay? So the funny part about this is, right, the story was that Microsoft is evil because Microsoft is going through with their merger. They bought out Activision Blizzard, and the first thing that they do is they lay off a bunch of people. And we all wag the fingers and we say, evil Microsoft. Bad. And I agree with that. They shouldn't be acquiring a company and then immediately lay off a ton of people. It's pretty fucked up and evil. And I've talked about this, my personal experience with stuff like this. I worked for a helicopter company, and when I first started working there, they had just gotten bought out by another major company. But they were promised, don't worry, everything will stay the same, you're going to stay independent, you're going to be, everything's going to be fine. Within 2 years of me working there, all of the upper management of the company had left, and all new people from the company that bought them out now were running the company. Within another 2 years, they completely reorganized the company from the ground up, destroyed the culture of the company internally, and laid off a bunch of people, and I was in the second wave of layoffs later that year and lost my job. So, this is what happens a lot of the times when you have these buyouts, reorgs, and things like that, right? But what about Sony? Right? What about Sony? Sony is the top console company right now, outside of the Switch, but again, that's kind of an apples to oranges comparison. When we could talk console wars, we're talking Sony versus Xbox, correct? Sony is the market dominating leader right now. Okay? And basically, when you look at this, you're like, so wait, Sony's dominating the console market. They're making more profits, right? They're doing much better than Xbox. So why are they laying off 900 people? I mean, you can analyze this from a few different angles. Angle number one, they're greedy. And they want to increase, they want to decrease their spending, increase their bottom line, cut employees, or maybe they had a bunch of games in work that they feel like these games are not going to pan out anymore. I mean, let's be honest, Twisted Metal live service game, when you say Twisted Metal, I think back to the 1990s and how games back then were very different. Everything was getting more hardcore, risque, extreme. Everything had to have gore and sex and all kinds of extreme shit, right? That's where Twisted Metal actually came from. It was like the extreme driving game. You know, it's not just driving and racing, it's murdering your opponents with missiles and chainsaws and shit, right? Like, that's what it was. And Twisted Metal had a ton of these, and they were very popular for a while, and then it went away, and then they tried to bring Twisted Metal back on PS3, and it failed miserably. It flopped, it ran like shit. Twisted Metal has been dead for a long time. So now you tell me they're going to bring back Twisted Metal again, but as a live service game. Well, guess what? Live service games are not doing well. All these game companies that were making live service games either released them and they flopped, or they literally saw other games flop around them and retooled them to not be live service, a la Gotham Knights, correct? So maybe this game was in development for many years, and now since the live service market for games crashed, this just makes sense that this would be the game on the chopping block, right? I guess that would make sense. Anyway, you know, the other thing is they're laying off employees at, just think about this, Insomniac, Naughty Dog, and Guerrilla Games. These are three of their biggest studios that put out the hits, right? I mean, didn't Insomniac literally just put out a ginormous successful game? Am I wrong? Naughty Dog, aren't they constantly publishing and republishing the same successful games? I'm sorry to harp on that, but let's be honest here. How many times can you fucking release the same two games and you know, and resell them again? But you know, at the same time, we have seen recently that there has been a lot of problems with Naughty Dog. You know, they were developing the full-on multiplayer game for Last of Us, and it just got canceled a few months ago, right? And now they say, well, now we're just working on Last of Us 3. So we're all supposed to forget the fact that we were supposed to get this game as part of Last of Us 2. We bought it. It was supposed to be part of the package. They promised it was coming later for free. Then they changed their mind, said they were going to make a full-fledged game, so just bear with us. We promise you it'll be worth the money. And then they just canceled the fucking game, right? But we could go on about that, right? Anyway. So, and then, of course, Guerrilla Games, the makers of Horizon, which had not only 2 successful outings in its own main franchise, but a VR game that apparently that VR game is like the only game really worth playing on PSVR. Like, that's what people say, is like the Horizon game's really good, but everything else is meh. But, you know, Horizon Forbidden West did not do as well as they'd hoped. It did well, but they wanted it to be like the ginormous blockbuster. And the funny part was, by the end of the year, no one was talking about Horizon Forbidden West as a Game of the Year contender at all. While Horizon Zero Dawn was on almost everyone's top 10 Games of the Year list, Forbidden West was not. So, yeah, I could definitely see if you're looking at these different... You know what? The one that surprised me in Insomniac. Why Insomniac? What did they do wrong? It's like everything they've ever done always printed money. So why would you cut back on Insomniac? That does actually confuse me a bit. I mean, they literally just released an insanely popular game, right? What was it? Spider-Man 2, right? So why did Insomniac get a big axe to them? I wonder how many employees they actually lost, because that's really weird to me. If you have the company that's printing money for you, that's the company you throw the resources into. No? Anyway, and whenever people lose their jobs in the industry, you know, it's rough. And I'm really sad because there's a difference between, like, okay, mismanagement botched and fucked everything up, and now employees are losing their jobs as a result. I look at Sony, I'm like, but Sony I thought was doing everything right. They've got the big games. They've got the hit franchises. They've got the studios that everyone loves and applauds, and no one complains about bad work ethics or culture. So why are they losing almost 1,000 employees? And when you see something like that, what you have to understand is that likely this is a symptom of an overbloated industry. An industry where for so long they decided to put so much money into these budgets and things, but basically the management of the projects was not very good, right? Why is it costing you over $300 million to make a video game? You know, honestly. And then what happens is you get a game like Pal World. You get a game like Helldivers 2. Guess what games didn't have a $300 million budget, but sold more, right? So what's happening is we're realizing it's not necessarily about who has the most money and resources. It's about who has the most talent. Oops, I said it. And I know people will get offended at that, but it's too bad. It's time to realize now, when you're in an artistic industry, it's not just about who has the biggest budget, the unlimited resources, and the time and the employees. It's about talent. People who actually are good at something and can translate it into an artistic work that people want to play. Okay? I don't care if you made the most eye-opening liberal game ever made. If you didn't have the talented people to turn it into a game people want to play, it's not going to do as well. I don't care if you had a $300 million budget to pump out the best superhero game ever made. It still honestly wasn't as good. It didn't really innovate. If you really look at the games today that are actually doing well, right? They're lower budget, coming out of nowhere, almost indie studio games that do something a little different. They put a creative spin on a formula that already works, or they're combining things from other franchises to give you the product that you never had before. Palworld is only successful because they said, well, if Pokemon Company is going to give you the middle finger, right? If Game Freak won't give you what you want, then we will. And I think that's what's going to end up happening moving forward. You're going to see companies that have passion, heart, soul, talent. Those companies now are going to be pushed to the forefront because gamers now are actually informed. This is no longer the dark ages where we're all sitting there reading gaming magazines for the next snippet of information about what games are coming out from E3 this year. We all know about these games instantly. The moment that they're announced, you've got all this promotion all over the internet for them, right? So you know what the game is. You know when it's coming out. You know every aspect of a game, right? Hell, you even get games that get torn a new butthole before they're out because they've got microtransactions in them or because they're games as a service and it seems to be some kind of an abusive formula, right? So basically, we are now way more conscious of how the industry works than we ever have been before, and we need to make more informed decisions, okay? In the case of a game like Suicide Squad, that's exactly what happened. People saw this game early and said, okay, we'll give Rocksteady the benefit of the doubt. It looks like it could be good because we like Rocksteady. But then as soon as we started seeing gameplay elements, wait, it's a team-based, almost looter-shooter? Wait, why does it look like a generic game that you've played already? Oh no, it's Suicide Squad. Does that mean there's going to be tons of cringy dialogue and all kinds of dumb shit? Yes, 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 yes. So previously, everyone might have lined up and pre-ordered, bought, and played Suicide Squad. But now, instead, we actually look at games like that from the outside critically and we say, nope, not going to waste my time and money on that shit anymore, right? And a game that has a giant budget and giant promotion flops. Suicide Squad is one of the biggest, if not the biggest flop Warner Brothers games has ever seen. They outright just said last week, they said, it's a big, big disappointment for us right now. So they were banking on that game being their big hit of the year, and instead, it's one of their biggest flops of all time. And that's because gamers are informed now, right? So, is this the beginning of the tipping point where now these big companies, Sony, Microsoft, right? And now let's think of all the big third-party developers, Ubisoft, EA, right? Is this the end of us just trusting them to always make good games? Are we now going to give more chances to the smaller indie developers? 5 years ago, I don't think Baldur's Gate 3 would have won Game of the Year. That's just me being honest here. I don't think so. 10 years ago, I don't think people would even know what Baldur's Gate 3 was unless you were just a PC player, right? But now, things are changing. The smaller studios are getting the attention, the shake, and the big guys are no longer just benefit of the doubt trusted to put out the good game, and people aren't just tossing their money. Now, by the way, there's exceptions to that rule. The Pokemon Company is one of them. You know, Game Freak seems like no matter what they make, people buy it anyway. People complain so much about how bad Scarlet and Violet ran on the Switch, and then it was the best-selling Pokemon game of all time. So sometimes it's kind of hypocritical or the opposite, but it's weird because I do think we're seeing this trend. So maybe that's what's going on, is Sony just thinking things were going to be the same forever, massively overexpanded and overspent. And now, even though some of their games, like Spider-Man 2 from reports did really, really well, right? Sold really well. Maybe it's a moneymaker. But maybe not as much as they wanted, you know? And now you got Naughty Dog fumbling the ball, canceling a whole multiplayer game, wasted years of development time on literal junk. Guerrilla Games with a disappointing Horizon Forbidden West, you know, return. So maybe that's what's happening. Maybe the industry is changing. It's sad, though, that these people, I'm sure if you were, think about this, if ever you thought your job would be secure, right? For sure you would have thought, oh, it would have been, you know, working for Sony. Of all companies, Sony, one of the big ones, right? I don't have to worry about that. No, even no one is safe. I've been saying this, too. People just have this weird, very, very, how can I say, almost like gullible, ignorant notion of job security, okay? There's no such thing as job security. There's one case where you can have job security. If you own the company you work for, because then the only person that can fire you is you. That's it. Outside of that, there is no job security. Anywhere, at any time, a job can decide you're just a number on a spreadsheet that needs to be cut off so that we can improve our bottom line, and you are done. All right? That's it. You want to know who actually benefits from this stuff? Contracted employees who have a real contract, because then if the contract gets severed, they get paid. You know how many people have that? Almost none anymore. Almost everyone has what's called at-will employment in the United States. What this is, basically, is when you work for a company, they have the ability to sever their tie with you, and you have the ability to sever your tie with them at a moment's notice for any given reason, as long as it's not deemed illegal, like prejudice or something like that, right? But outside of that, anyone can quit any job, and the job can fire you, and there's nothing you can do and no real recourse, and that's that, right? It's not like it used to be. It used to be you're a contracted employee, you have a contract with a company, and they have to pay you a certain amount for a certain amount of time, a certain amount of work, and if they violate that agreement, they owe you money. Well, no one does that anymore. So all these employees at any whim, we're reorganizing our company, you're fired, bye-bye. Huh? But I have a family. But I have a responsibility. I'm the breadwinner for my family, and we moved out here to be part of your studio, and I've moved my whole family, uprooted my life for 2 years. I've been working for you, and oh well, we don't care. Bye. Get the fuck out. Oh, thanks. It's really awesome. And now what are you going to do? The problem right now is the industry's scaling back. The gaming industry is scaling back right now. So if you just lost your job at Sony, how are you going to get another job when everyone is scaling back, right? So anyway, that sucks. I'm very sad to hear about this. I do hope that these Sony employees from all these different studios find jobs elsewhere, because this is just awful to hear. The pattern continues. You know, all last year, people could argue last year was like the worst year for gaming because so many people lost their jobs. Well, here we go. It continued. The pattern's continuing. Microsoft just had layoffs. Sony's having layoffs. Everyone seems to be doing it, right? Oh, but by the way, don't let our government tell you that things are bad, because they'll tell you, oh, you could go get another job quick. It's like, yeah, I could go work 2 part-time jobs, one in a retail store, tagging clothes, and another I can go, work the fry-a-later at McDonald's. And between the 2 jobs, I can make like half as much money as I was making at my previous job that I just lost. So thanks a lot, United States government, for acting like we have a good economy when we really don't. But that's some DSP politics for you, and that'll be at another time. We're not going to get into that this morning, okay? But anyway, it's very unfortunate. I hope that those employees land back on their feet. This is terrible news, and I'm wondering what's going to happen, right? Hopefully they do get some good, new jobs and everything. You know what I mean? Okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, that's what I've got for you today. And being that it's already past noon, I feel like we should probably just get into shoutouts and, and then the finale of our show. So thank you for listening. I hope you're enjoying the show so far. Okay. All right. So first contribution of the day is from DJ Sonic Swag, who did that super chat, and he says, on your birthday, why not play Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8 in a crossplay private lobby and entertain you instead? Wait, what? Why not have us play Street Fighter 6 or Tekken 8 in a crossplay lobby and entertain you? Now I'm confused. Are you saying, like, I make a lobby and people play and I just observe and commentate? Yeah, I never really even thought of that. I always thought if I'm gonna stream, people want to see me play. I literally not once ever even thought of that at all. I will say this: one of the things that I'm very now apprehensive about. I've heard that in Tekken, you can essentially make really, really risque outfits. Of course, it's not intended, but imagine making like a dude completely almost nude, and then has like a big baguette coming out of where his dick is, and he's like, "Oh, so this is the character, right?" It's like. And so apparently what's happening is actual prominent Tekken streamers are doing fan nights, and they go to play, and people are coming with like these most ridiculous sexualized outfits, right? And they're like, what the fuck is this? It's like... So I am a little apprehensive about that, because you know that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to make like naked characters and really sexualized, fucked up characters that are going to get you in trouble for having them on your stream, right? So there you go. Anyway, well, it's something to think about. Maybe, but I don't know. Would I really want to just sit here and commentate on other people playing? I don't know. Maybe, though. There was a point where I was considering, like, just watching and commentating on other people's gameplay. Low tier God. Remember that last year and all the controversy that caused, that I would even suggest that I would watch some LTG gameplay and commentate on it and tell you my thoughts about it? Remember how the crap hit the fan there? It's so fucking stupid. Anyway, so maybe. It's a maybe. Thanks for the suggestion. Thank you for the super chat. Pizza Box Gaming did a $5 super chat and says, it's the age of the indie studio. I'm here for it. AAA gaming needs to die, at least for a while. Get the suits out of gaming and bring back the passion. Well, there you go. I don't think there's anything wrong with the notion of a AAA studio. I don't. It's the same as the notion of a giant film studio. My problem is when the notion of the AAA studio went from, we're going to make some of the best stories, gameplay elements, and amazing games ever, to we're going to make a product to print money for the shareholders. And if it ends up being good at some point, that's just a moot point, as long as it's something that hooks people to keep spending money and it lines the shareholders' pockets. That's all we care about. You're in an artistic field. You understand? Like, I understand you're supposed to make money with your product. I get that. But you also have to make something worth making. And that's where we've lost our way. So many AAA studios pumping out these very uninspired, paint by numbers, very samey, in the same genre, following the same formula, same game you've played 400 times, but you tacked on a sequel number, or it's a spin-off, or it's similar to someone else's game with a twist, but it's the same fucking game. It's a live service, microtransaction, take money out the ass, charge you $70 for the game at launch, then $20, $30 for a future of expansions, buy a season pass when you don't even know what's in the fucking season pass, because they don't even fucking tell you yet. Online connections suck ass at launch, and then the game is online only, so you're stuck with the game you can't even play for another fucking week. I mean, I could keep going on and on about the awful things about the AAA game industry, right? You're a fucking beta tester even though you bought the fucking game, right? But let me calm down here for a second. Let me get my heart rate back down. Sorry, I was getting a little worked up there. Yeah, like, basically, when AAA has lost its way, someone else will take the place. There is so many people now passionate in the gaming industry that I think that's the problem to the people running the AAA studios. The gamers, right, don't understand is that there is massive competition out there waiting to slip right in and take everybody's attention. No one's playing Skull and Bones because it's a piece of dog shit made by a bunch of fucking people who were forced to make a piece of dog shit by a management team that runs their company like dog shit, right? So then what happens? Helldivers 2 comes out. Who the fuck cares about Skull and Bones? Oops. You got fucked up by a company that really was like 1/10 the size of you and made you look like a fucking amateur night dev team. Anyway. Oh, excuse me. I've miscriticized. I forgot that Skull and Bones is the first quadruple A game. So, there you go. Oops. I misspoke. I'm sorry about that, and I correct myself now. Anyway, that's enough ranting for me. Thank you, Pizza Box Gaming. On the tip side of things, hold on a second, because it looks like A tip got frozen. Oh, I know why, because it's a troll. Ah, it's a troll. So I just ignore them. There you go. Cool. I can ignore it. I received a $25 tip this morning. Hold on. From 1 Minute Man. He says, the reason you didn't meet the imposter last time. The imposter. Oh, are you talking about, Orin? Yeah, he says the reason you didn't meet the imposter last time is due to the randomness as to where, when, and who the game progresses, maybe what patch you're even on. If you speak to Gortash late, you might have already met the imposter. You could even meet the imposter more than once. Lots of possibilities. Confusing. You don't... Oh, you're talking about the imposter in camp. Never mind. I've had a brain fart that there's an imposter in camp. Okay, let me read this again because now I'll understand it better. The reason you didn't meet the imposter last time is due to the randomness as to where, when, who, the game progress, and maybe what patch you're actually on. If you speak to Gortash late, you might have met the imposter before. Okay, now I understand what you're saying. You may even meet the imposter more than once. There's lots of possibilities. It's confusing. You don't have to look for him or her. Your perception will kick in. Also, if you plan to use finesse from now on, think spellcasters. Check out the... Whoa. The Tataratat? The Tataratat spell... We haven't encountered that one yet. Tataratat? That doesn't ring a bell. Also, no hiatus. No hiatus. Well, sorry, it's not a hiatus. It's basically, we have played, and I should say this, alright? You know what? Let's get 1 Minute Man up on the leaderboard. Thank you, 1 Minute Man, for your support. I want to say something about Baldur's Gate 3 before we get into today, okay? I want to make a statement here. My public statement about Baldur's Gate 3. Alright? So, Baldur's Gate 3 is not going on hiatus. It's not going on the shelf. It's just taking a back seat. I've played Baldur's Gate 3 pretty much more than any other game besides maybe Elden Ring at launch. If you remember Elden Ring, I played the living hell out of it, and it took me a little over 2 months to beat it, and my playthrough was around 100 hours long. Well, as of today, we will be over 100 hours into Baldur's Gate 3. I feel like I've done as much as I could without sacrificing the quality of this channel being called a variety channel. You know, like I played Baldur's Gate 3 literally 3-4 times a week sometimes as the daytime stream. I really wanted to please people who love this game. I've enjoyed playing this game as an outsider to the franchise, as an outsider to D&D in general. I really did enjoy my time with the game, and I will continue to enjoy my time with it. We're not stopping the playthrough. We're just playing it way less, because at some point I have to move on and play new stuff, right? As much as I know there's people who are like, just keep playing Baldur's Gate 3 nonstop, I can't do that. I am a variety creator. If I just play the same game 3-4 months in a row, I'm going to lose monstrous interest in my channel. I already have. This month, views are down. All right? I just want you to understand that. Views are down on this channel this month because I played Baldur's Gate 3 for so long. There's nothing I can really do to get people's interest back in the game. It's just too long of a game to retain interest on a channel like mine. So instead, we've got to do other variety stuff. And to be honest, I'm happy we've got a big blockbuster here like Final Fantasy 7 Rebirth. We've got good variety of the games that are going to be coming out over March. That's going to, I feel, reinvigorate people to come back here and check out the stuff again. But man, you know, I feel like I did as much as I could to do this game justice. Even though I didn't kiss this game's butt like a lot of other people did, I was honest along the way. I played the living crap out of it, right? And I enjoyed it. And I want to say thank you to everyone for the last 2 to 2.5 months who was on my streams, who recommended this game, who engaged with this game, who helped me to understand it, day by day, going through every challenge, every confusing part, and you guys helped me through it to understand what was going on. Again, I know I would not have enjoyed this game without the audience. I 100% know that. And I will say it's the on-demand audience as much as the live. The live audience has been absolutely great, but I've got some great people watching and commenting on the videos, you know, giving me advice all after the fact, and that is very, very, very much appreciated, okay? So I want you to understand how much I do appreciate you all. Not that, you know, I don't want you to think that I took it for granted. This is a crazy 2 months where if we didn't have Baldur's Gate 3, it might have been hard to figure out what to play. I might have played stinkers like Suicide Squad and wasted everyone's time. I'm glad that we instead had something good to play during this time, even though it wasn't appealing to the masses. It appealed to a core group of people that wanted to be here and wanted to support my content. You understand? Okay. So, thank you all for a great 2+ months. Really. I really, really appreciate that. I hope that you guys appreciate it and enjoyed it. I certainly did. And so, now it's going to be played once a week. And first of all, I want to say I hope that those of you who've been along this ride with me will continue to show up for the once a week that I play it. It's going to suck now that because I'm reducing the amount I play Baldur's Gate 3, if I play it now and we get like no one on the stream, you know how far in we are? We're in the home stretch. We are literally in the final 30 to 40 hours, which is the home stretch, end game, resolution of all the plot lines, final finale, and I want to see it unfold. I don't want it now to flounder and fumble and fall on its face because I'm not playing it as much. So I hope that you guys will show up for the once a week that I'm going to be playing Baldur's Gate 3 to please keep coming back to hang out with me when I play this game. It's not going to change. I'm still going to need input. I'm still going to need your help and your takes and everything. I want to have this fun, engaging, interactive experience with all of you. Okay? Every other day, I'm going to be here surrounded by chocobos, moogles, buster swords, and all the lore of Final Fantasy. I'm going to need a break from that. And that's what the Baldur's Gate 3 stream really is going to do. Okay? So please, come back and hang out with me the once a week that I play it. And again, thank you. But understand, it's not going on hiatus. It is continuing. I don't want people to get that misconception. Oh, Baldur's Gate 3 is now on hiatus. No, no, no. It's continuing. It's just less. So please come for when I play it. Okay? And I will, as always, have formally published schedules. You'll see it on my X page, here on my channel page, on the community tab. Every night, I will have these updated schedules so you know exactly when the game will be played, so there's no confusion. And you're not, oh, I missed out on the one Baldur's Gate stream this week because I didn't know when it was. I will let you know ahead of time so you're well aware so you can't miss it. Okay? Cool? All right. I received a $1.50 tip from Anso Kamaru. Truth be told, it's not that hard to dodge spoilers. Use filters for sites like X or Twitter. Try muting any other notification from other forums. You'll be fine. I haven't been spoiled by anything in 10+ years except Final Fantasy 16 and Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League's ending on YouTube. I don't know how you're going to do it being a streamer. Exactly right. I will not be spoiled usually by like Twitter. I get spoiled by idiots who come by and spoil everywhere. They'll come and spoil in the stream chat. They'll try to fucking, do comments. They do it on purpose, and it's really hard to avoid spoilers. It's gotten to the point where I'm so used to it at this point that it's just like, meh, what are you going to do? Also, a lot of the time spoilers are so stupidly wrong that it's hilarious. Like, I still remember the most infamous time ever, okay, that someone tried to spoil, and it was the most epic fail spoil I've ever seen. So we're talking a decade ago, okay? We're all on Twitch. I'm streaming Grand Theft Auto 5, all right? And as I just start to play it, some idiot came into the chat and posted, Michael dies at the end. And that was the most hilariously bad spoiler ever, because people were like, oh my god, they spoiled the whole game. Because Grand Theft Auto 5 has multiple endings. Michael could die at the end, or he could survive. Also, the other characters can die or survive. Like, it's your choice how you want to play it. So, I found it hilarious that they tried so hard to spoil the biggest game of like a decade, and it was just a non-spoiler, because you can't really even spoil the game, right? So, that's what I mean. Like, it will always happen. There's nothing you can do about it. You will happen. I'll pledge to you that if I see spoilers, I will do my best to immediately remove them and hopefully not really acknowledge what the spoiler is, so that way we're not all ruined on the games. But again, it's not possible to 100% foolproof anything. Any idiot could just do it, and then you just gotta be like, ah. So I'll say this: be careful when you're looking at things like super chats and shit like that. Don't just immediately say, oh, a super chat. Let me read this ginormous paragraph word for word, right? Don't do that. Just be a little careful, especially, you know, this week. We're going to see probably 4 million spoilers. I already know it, right? I already know it's coming. So, okay. Excuse me. From Casanova. He tipped $1 that there's a new device called the Game Scent. It's using innovative AI to release scents that match the gameplay on screen. Like a car race, rain after a storm, or leaves in a forest, you buy individual scent cartridges for consoles and PC. Man, I can't wait to smell all the smells of Tekken and Street Fighter. All that body sweat. And, you know, can you imagine what Kuma smells like after a nice, intense fight? In fact, I can't wait for the scent to release, just as my face is being pile-driven into the ground between the two butt cheeks of King. Man, release the scent then. Right? Excellent. Sounds like a great idea. Okay. So, I received a $1 tip from Playcool, who says, you did your best. Good boy. To the moment, or to the point you've surpassed me in the game. I was not able to pick it after end of Act 2. I was finishing Final Fantasy 16 and 7 Remake. Every Baldur's Gate 3 stream is spoilers now for me, so I'm happy you will play it less. It gives me time to get into Rebirth and then finish Baldur's Gate 3, then go back and see your final streams, having finished the game myself. Meanwhile, hype for Rebirth. There you go. Thank you for the tip. Okay. All right. We have very precious little time left. So if you guys have any questions, you'd like to tag me in the chat, and we can discuss quickly. Let's do that for like the next 5-10 minutes or so, and then we'll jump into Baldur's Gate 3 for the day. So what's on your guys' mind? Can we change the lean-in emote back to the old one? With the new one, you can't tell the difference between the mic and your shirt. It blends in too much. Maybe we could just get another one, a better one. Then again, I don't think we can, because I don't think we have as many memberships anymore. So sadly, if we try to change it, it's probably we're going to lose the emote slot. Yeah. The way YouTube works, which is incredibly stupid, is if you earn an emote slot, you have to add in an emote right away for it. If you do, great. But then if you don't have as many members anymore, and then you try to edit the emote slot, it'll check and say, oh, you don't have that many members to qualify for that slot anymore, and then it just removes the slot. So I think we're stuck with that. Nothing I can really do about it. Dark Gaming, I'm well aware of this. We all know. They tried last week. It didn't work. It's not going to work moving forward, so don't worry about it. We're good. No worries there. What does the lean-in emote mean? Well, actually, the lean-in emote doesn't really apply anymore. Basically, I used to have a big pop guard. Actually, it's right here. I still didn't put it away. So for 9 years, I had this pop guard on my microphone. And so here I am. Now I got a double pop guard. I wonder how well you can actually hear me. So here I am doing my stream, and then I can't see the chat. Like, I'm not even kidding. It blocks the entire chat. So for me to see chat, I have to do this or this. Okay? So the lean-in manual ban emote is when if someone was misbehaving and I needed to manually ban them myself because maybe a moderator wasn't around or not noticing. And so I would have to lean around this to see, right? Like this or like this. And I would lean in to ban someone around this giant pop guard. Orange says, man, that pop guard looks ridiculous now. It's crazy now that you've upgraded, seeing things how noticeable it was. Yeah, look how tiny this one is, right? Actually, there you go. It's tiny. And it works just as well. This pop guard was literally 4 times as big. Look at it. Blocking everything, right? There you go. Anyway, so I can see fine. Now this pop guard does not block chat at all. I can actually see all of you easily, which is really cool, right? By the way, one other thing I'd like to bring up. Did you notice that the volume level is much louder now? This is a result a couple nights ago when I was on my throwback stream. people were saying, can you up your mic volume? And I was like, well, I've tried this before, but let's try it again. So I tweaked it, and now this, I'm not even kidding, the mic's like twice as loud, isn't it? So you might notice that the volume is much louder. Now, there is sadly a drawback about this. Some games, sadly, the game volume is really low for no good reason. It's just the game itself. And I hate to say it, it's Baldur's Gate that's one of them. Baldur's Gate is one of the games that for some reason the volume is incredibly low, and I don't know why. I have no explanation as to why the game, all other games are okay, but Baldur's Gate is just really, really low. So I don't know what's going to happen today. You might not be able to hear the volume, and I have no way to increase the volume of the game. Besides, I think in OBS, there is, if I go to advanced audio properties, you may be able to artificially increase the decibel level of just the game, but I've never tried it before. So I guess we can see what happens. But I am a little nervous that today the volume levels are going to be way off and you're not going to be able to hear. People are saying they hear a noise in the background. Yes, it's called the shower. The shower is running behind me. The bathroom's behind me on this wall. It only lasts like 5 minutes. It's okay. Relax. By the way, today is only Tuesday. Guess what that means? No landscapers. We're avoiding the landscapers this week. I won't be here streaming on Landscaper Day. I guess I should put this into my closet now, huh? Okay. Also, I was asked, when will I change my background? Probably tomorrow when I'm on my day off. I'll probably come in here at some point during the day and try to set up the background and have a new one starting Thursday. And it'll just be Thursday and then the whole month of March. What will it be? I don't know. Got to look for what combinations of art maybe I haven't done yet. I mean, we didn't have a Mega Man one this month. Maybe Mega Man will come back. We didn't have a Mario one this month. Maybe I'll bring back a Mario picture. I got to think about it, what I want to do. I haven't done the Punch-Out picture in a long time, but it's huge. So if I do the Punch-Out picture, it's kind of hard to balance the background. I'll probably swap out the ghost for the Game Over sign again. You know, we'll see. All right. Look at this troll. Wow, you're an idiot. Dark Viking, how's it going? I hope you're doing well. Unlike me, I'm currently dealing with a breakup. I'm looking for a chill time. Well, this should be a pretty chill stream. I'm sorry to hear that, obviously. I'll just say this. In life, these things happen. Not everything always works out. And just know that even though right now might be a low time in your life, there'll be things to cheer you up. There'll be things that you'll have fun with. You're going to smile again. This is not the end. You still got lots more to go. And hopefully many good times ahead. You just got to get there. So just get through this rough patch now and you'll get to a better time. My life has been like this. It's like, seriously, this is my fucking life. It's like, whoa, things are going so good and everything's all right. And then what the hell is it? Whoa! Right? And that maybe that's you right now. Maybe you're literally on a roller coaster heading straight down. But eventually it's going to hook and it's going to go back up. So just hang in there. And hopefully the stream should allow you to forget some of that stuff today and have a good time. Habib Gaming, what's going on? 14 months as a member. Says, what's up? Thank you, Habib Gaming. Good to see you here today. I haven't said it, but guys, please support the stream today if you can. Anyway, anything is appreciated. A super chat, a membership, a gifted membership, a tip, all appreciated. Thank you to those. I mean, basically the Baldur's Gate 3 streams have been the most consistently supported in ages, and I'm really appreciative of that. Oh, one final thing. I forgot about this entirely. All right. I may be getting something cool for the playthrough of Final Fantasy VII. Alright? I may. So we shall see. Someone just said, am I ready for the snow later today? How much are we getting? I didn't check. We're not getting a lot. It's probably just going to be like a mix or something. Let me check. Let's see. Get this out of here. Chance of rain is 91%. Rainfall for 1/4 of an inch, but nothing significant today. Okay, what about tomorrow? Because tomorrow's my day off and I do have to run errands. No, periods of rain, highs near 50. Chance of rain, rainfall might reach an inch. Wednesday night, rain, a little bit of snow mixing late, but nothing major. No actual accumulation. Let's check Thursday. You know what it is? We're not getting freezing temperatures. So although we may get snow, it's definitely not going to stick or accumulate. Yep, we're not getting nothing. If I was actually in another part of Washington, we may have gotten snow accumulation. But it's not where I am. It's too warm. It's too warm, so it doesn't really stick or anything around here usually. So. So that was Wolf of Midnight did that super chat. Says, are you ready for the snow later today? Now, we're good here. I don't live in the major snowy parts of Washington, thankfully. So. Okay. So yes, I may be getting something silly and fun for the Final Fantasy VII playthrough. We'll see if it actually happens. I don't know if it will, but it may. And if it does, I think it'll be pretty funny. So we'll have to see. Okay. What are the snowy parts of Washington? What's that part? It's called like Snoqualmie Pass or something like that. There's this major commercial highway where all the major trucks drive that carry product through the state. And whenever it snows, it always snows on that pass. And the pass fucks up. And then no one can get product. I don't know why they haven't figured out that this is an awful infrastructure to do it that way. That they have to find alternate means to do it. Because every time it fucking snows here, that pass always is closed. And so then you go to the grocery store, and they'll be like, they're out of this, this, and this. And yet, what happened? Why do we not have half the products? Oh, didn't you hear it snowed on Snoqualmie Pass or whatever? It's like, so why the fuck didn't you figure out another way to do it? It's 2024. It's not the dark ages where you're a fucking horse and buggy or a fucking, a wagon trying to fucking get the stuff. Like, can we figure this out? Use our brains? No, if it snows, we just get nothing. Oh, okay, dunce. That's a great way to operate your business, right? Fire Emblem was a good playthrough. Will I ever play the sequel, says Stealthy Kupo? I don't know. That was an insanely long, drawn-out playthrough. And by the end, even the people who were the fans of it were kind of bored. It took, like, so long to finish. Remember, it was, like, 3+ months we played it. I don't know, man. I think at this point, I'll be honest with you, I'm getting RPG'd out. Like Baldur's Gate, Like a Dragon, now Final Fantasy, Dragon's Dogma, and there's more coming. I really am feeling like I'm just so RPG'd out. I'm starting to feel like there's too many and they're not as good anymore because there's too many, right? So I'm thinking maybe I need to take a hiatus from these RPGs at some point, maybe over the summer, and just do another variety of game for a while because I'm going to get so fucking burnt out on this shit, What's the worst weather I've ever experienced? Ugh. I mean, I've seen both extremes. There was one summer here in Washington. We had 111-degree weather for about a week. I take it back. It was around 3 days. And that's the hottest I've ever experienced. And I've been to California. I've been to Florida. I've been to Texas. 111-degree weather, right? It was so hot. The pavement outside was becoming sticky. The pavement. That's not good. Basically, nothing here is built to sustain heat. So the homes were like 130 degrees on the inside. We had air conditioners pumping, and it was still 80 degrees in the hallway, just standing there. It was 80-something degrees with all the air conditioners on in the house. That was absolutely the hottest weather I've ever experienced. The coldest, I would probably say there was a couple times where there were crazy blizzards when I lived in Connecticut where it was so bad that I was snowed in for like a week. Like, that happened once when I was just, yeah, luckily I was a YouTuber at that point. This was the early days of me being like a full-time YouTuber. So I had bought all the games that I think I had needed for the week. And then we got hit with this crazy snowstorm. And it was so bad that I just basically stayed home and, you know, gamed all week. I didn't even go out. I just stayed, you know, and it was funny because I was home for like 4 or 5 days straight, didn't even leave. And then I went out to the outdoor parking lot because I didn't have a garage back then. And my car was an igloo. Everyone else's car, they had to dig out because they had to drive to work. And I didn't have to. I work from home. So my car was just encased like a giant igloo of ice and snow. And I had to like break through this fucking igloo to get to the house. To get to the car. Because it was like a house over my car. It was so bad. The snow was so bad in Connecticut this one time, they had to push the snow into rivers and lakes. They had nowhere to put it. They'd been plowing it for 4 days straight, and there was no room for any more snow. So they just had to start pushing it into bodies of water in the hopes that it would eventually start melting. Now, other weather, I've been through hurricanes. I've been some pretty bad hurricanes. My parents, there was a twister that actually touched down 1 block away from their house on a green. There's like a big central area. There's 2 roads, and in between there's a bunch of green areas with like trees and park area. And a twister touched down in the park and ripped all the trees and the foliage out of it and knocked all the power lines out. So they didn't have power for like 2 weeks because they had to rewire the whole neighborhood because the fucking twister ripped everything out. So that was close to me, but I didn't live there. That was close to me. The scariest weather I've ever experienced, I was on a plane flying from Connecticut to New York City. It was one of those, I think they call it like almost like a puddle jumper flight, meaning it was a very small plane. And it was only me and one other woman on the plane taking this. It was like it's supposed to be like a connection flight. Like you're flying to New York and then you're flying from New York to like a game tournament somewhere in the country. So we're on this tiny plane and we flew through a storm. And it was so bad. The turbulence. I thought we were going to die. I legit, and you know, it's rare in my life that I think that kind of stuff, but that turbulence was so bad, I thought we were going to die because that plane was going like this in the sky. Like you think roller coaster? Imagine you're on a roller coaster for 2 hours and it never stops and it's nonstop like this. Like that's exactly how the flight felt. It was about an hour. I take it back. It was about an hour like this. Okay. And then when I got off the flight was so bad. The flight attendant said, so we don't do this usually, but that was so bad. They gave each me and the woman, it was like a $200 flight certificate to say, you get a free flight later because that flight was so bad. You deserve this. And I was like, holy shit. So that was the worst weather I've experienced up close. Okay. All right. Anyway, any final things, or shall we adjourn? Oh, I don't know. Orange, you're talking about mid-2000s. How much was the flight? How would I know? This was the mid-2000s, you know, when I was flying around playing Street Fighter in my 20s. I don't know how much it cost. Here, cheaper than now. There you go. Now everything's so much more expensive, you know. This is probably like 20 years ago. All right. I think we'll adjourn. Thank you guys for a great podcast. I hope you enjoy. And, you know, I hope you all have a safe Wednesday. Remember, I'll not be here. I know it's weird because I'm here almost every Wednesday, you know, like clockwork. You get used to a schedule. And I understand that when that schedule gets, you know, changed a little bit, it's a little confusing. It could throw you for a loop. You scratch your head and say, what's going on? But when I come back on Thursday, I feel like we're heading into a new part of the year, right? I feel like it's going to feel renewed, a new game. Just about starting a new month, pretty much a new season, right? And that's exciting to think about. We're going to have spring coming up. We're going to have Easter coming up. We're going to have all the new games of March, right? It's going to be a good time. So I thank you all. This has been, I'll be honest, a fun but slow start to the year, right? A lot of the games that we all thought were going to be great were not. Some of the games that are good, honestly, they're not like the blockbusters you once thought they were. I feel like Final Fantasy VII will be one of the big ones. And then, you know, more stuff coming up in March should be great. And I thank you all for being here along the ride with me. I've had a great time. I hope to see you all this Thursday, 1 hour earlier than usual, All right, 1 hour earlier, 10:45 a.m. Well, hold on. Let's try that again. 10:15 a.m. Pacific time for the podcast. All right, and 11:45 a.m. Pacific time to basically settle in and get ready for the gameplay. All right, I'm still going to get 3 hours in of gameplay, but it's essentially going to start an hour earlier than usual because I have to stop the stream an hour earlier. All right, I hope you'll be here for the premiere of Final Fantasy VII. Don't be late. Rebirth on Thursday all day long. Okay, thank you all. I will see you Thursday.